No, you're amazing. Oh my. Oh, in the middle of filming my new episode. We're live. We're okay.
Well, let's do lunch soon.
Sounds
Ciao.
good. What did she mean by soon? Like now? Should I get dressed? Do I change? Do I look okay? Do I smell? Oh my gosh. Ciao? Speaking sure is tough. I may have only been speaking for a couple minutes, but humans have been speaking for around 100,000 years. At this point, you'd think we'd be experts at this. Then why does the word miscommunication exist? Why do people not understand each other even when they're speaking the same language? And who's really at fault when there's a miscommunication? The speaker or the listener? Miscommunication is basically the failure to communicate adequately. This can lead to embarrassment, hurt feelings, mental health issues, and in extreme cases, war. To even have a miscommunication, you'd have to have a conversation. And a conversation is a talk between two or more individuals. Whenever we talk, we're trying to put this constant stream, an ocean of consciousness, into words that the other person can actually understand. It's a little bit like your mind is Google translating the sea of thoughts into words, giving it to the other person, and that person is then Google translating those words into their own mind to process. It's a little exhausting. There's a term for this, and it's called the transactional model of communication. In all fairness, we're really just talking about the subconscious mind here. Basically, we're all just zombies running around the world on subconsciousness and coffee. Why do I believe that? Well, it is estimated that about 95% of our daily actions are carried out by our subconscious mind. That means only 5% of our daily actions are decided by our consciousness. What's even crazier is that subconscious mind is actually molded by our past experiences, memories, coffee, biases. Biases is actually pretty important. We're going to get back to that in just a little bit. And on top of it all, on top of everything, our own minds are working against us. It's deleting our memories, misconstruing things, misinterpreting events as they actually happen. Based on all that information and knowing a little bit more about our subconscious and unconscious mind, who do you think's at fault? Comment below. Is it the speaker or the listener that's at fault, and why? We'll highlight your response in a future video. Well, a similar question was posed by debate.org, and the question was, do you believe that the speaker is always at fault for miscommunication? And what they answered was, the speaker is not at fault. That's right. 71% of people do not believe the speaker is at fault for the miscommunication. Ding, ding, ding. What a twist. Not at fault? We've been talking about the unconscious and subconscious mind formulating our thoughts into words, but they're not at fault? Why is that? So that means a lot of people actually think the listener is at fault for these miscommunications. We're pushing that responsibility to the listener here. And if that was your answer, you're actually in good company. Experts and psychologists have surprisingly agreed with you that the listener is the one responsible for the effectiveness of the communication. This actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The listener is the one putting their biases on the incoming information and misinterpreting it. So why shouldn't it be all the listener's fault? But is that really what goes on all the time? Let's take this for example. Oh, hey, Sheila, how do you feel about working with John today? Yeah, I guess I'll think about it. Oh, really, Sheila? That actually was a request, not an invitation to explore your feelings. See, in that scenario, the speaker actually didn't say what they really meant. This emphasizes that the speaker has a lot of responsibility, not only to try to say what they mean, but actually listen to what the person is saying afterwards. That's right, you actually have to listen to what the listener says in return. That makes the speaker also the listener. Yes, the speaker is a listener, and the listener also needs to listen. That's because communication is a two-way street. That's what we said at the beginning. It takes two people to have a conversation, and it takes two people to have a miscommunication. Granted, nobody is perfect. Neither is how we communicate. So we really need to keep in mind that as there might be proper ways that we need to effectively speak, there are also ways that we can effectively listen. One of the best ways to effectively listen is to actively listen. That's right. Clinical psychologist Kevin Gillian actually said that people that do the best in life, marriage, and friendships are the ones engaging and actively listening to one another. Oh man, this video is so interesting. Tell me more. There are actually several ways that you can be an effective and active listener. Visualizing what's being said is a great way to keep your mind engaged on the conversation at hand. You've probably heard the saying you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and that's often to stay silent and listen twice. Silence can be a really effective tool because you're allowing the person to speak their mind without fear of interruption. Last but not least, summarizing what's actually being said to you. This lets the speaker know that you really got what they were trying to tell you. So what you're saying is I should summarize what you're saying. Yes, exactly. Let's bring it back to the real world example we were discussing at the beginning. Remember my friend Miscommunication? Well, she said soon and she wanted me there 5 minutes ago.
Where were you? You were supposed to be here 5 minutes ago, and it's 5 minutes from now, and you haven't.
As the listener, this could be my fault. I mean, I could have easily asked, what do you mean by soon? And that's on me. But remember, it's also up to the speaker to make sure that they're understood. They're a secondary listener. In this case, she could have listened to my okay as an indication that I had no idea what soon meant to her. And often, it's good to follow up. See my video about follow-up here. This is where bias can rear its hideous head. To me, soon is a very ambiguous term. If we looked at the definitions, there probably wouldn't even be a better answer. For instance, if Miscommunication looked up the definition, she could find this example that says soon is in 5 minutes. Now, if I were to look up a definition, I could also find one that's biased toward my side. Here's a definition that shows that's sometime in the future. So then I'm right. Nope, none of us are right. This is just confirmation bias. We're just trying to back up our own stories with definitions we found online. Now we're arguing even though we both just want to go to lunch. Let's reframe the discussion. I say it all the time on Instagram. Cooperation over competition. Yes, that's right. Let's push through these misunderstandings and let's just do lunch.
Why don't we do lunch after your video?
Thank you so much for clearing that up. I'm actually almost done with this video. I'll be downstairs in 5 minutes. Yes, finally, we both listened effectively and now we're actually gonna make it to lunch. Thank you! And thank you for watching. Just so you know, this is actually a 2-parter video. We discussed some tips for effective listening. In the next video, we're gonna discuss some tips for effective speaking. So make sure you stay tuned next week. Until then, I'll be seeing you all very soon. Networking Maverick out. Happy connecting.